But let's get started. All right, so on the very first story, and this is actually from Reason.com. Now, before I go any further on this story, I want to make it very clear about this story is that there are two different sources. There's the Reason.com, which I just mentioned, and then there's the other article that the Reason.com articles actually sources. It's actually it was actually an article crafted by Robbie Suave, and it's concerning why a hospital won't let a dad donate his kidney to his sick 2-year-old son because of a gun arrest. So, as it reads, A.J. Burgess, a 2-year-old boy without functioning kidneys, is in desperate need of a transplant. His father, Anthony Dickinson, is a perfect match, was prepared to undergo transplant surgery until he was arrested for violating his parole. Dickinson was in possession of a firearm or a knife during the commission of the attempt to commit certain felonies, according to the WGCL-TV. He's been released from prison, but the hospital won't perform the surgery until the parole officer gives the okay. That could take 3 to 4 months. The hospital wants to revisit the issue in January. Of course, there's no guarantee that Burgess will live that long. He has to undergo dialysis every single day. His body is failing, and he has a bladder surgery, and he needs a kidney now. And a highly motivated donor, his father, is willing to give him one. Now, further in this article, it goes on to make some commentary saying that maybe that's gun control in theory. In practice, stricter gun control means giving the government more reasons to interfere in the lives of black and brown people who are already wary of the police. It means rap sheets of low-level offenders become lengthier. They did something bad, and they happen to have a weapon while they did it, even though one had nothing to do with the other. It means more people in color getting caught up in the technicalities that ruin their lives and endanger the lives of their children. So this article specifically frames the discussion or the point of the sourcing of where he got this information from. That's the WGCL TV. He got this from a different source that actually completely removes the situation from what is actually happening. And what I mean is that he's trying to spin it as though this is actually what will be the result of gun control, and that's not necessarily the case, because when you actually go to the source, there is no specific gun legislation that actually prevented this person from being able to give his son his kidney. The father actually was already out of the hospital, and the hospital actually made the decision on their own to actually not proceed along with the surgery because they didn't like what they saw on the father's background. It has nothing to do with gun legislation, but they're using this as an opportunity in order to spin it and say, well, look, this is the example of gun control. This is what will happen. You'll actually get adversely affected by this small little anecdote. And then when you actually go to the source and actually look at it, you're like, well, wait a minute. Like, this guy was actually already out, and he went to the hospital, and they said no. So even under that scenario that he's trying to paint and say, this is what the result of gun control would be, that scenario doesn't even apply to this one, because with or without gun control, the hospital would have probably still made the same decision regardless, because you can just take out gun control and just insert or the fact that he had possession of a gun and just put in any particular crime. If he did any particular crime and then the hospital say, you know what, we're not going to proceed along with the operation, then what are you going to do? And they even made a statement about that. But the Emory Healthcare said that Emory Healthcare is committed to the highest quality for the care of its patients. Guidelines for organ transplantation are designed to maximize the chance of success for organ recipients and minimize the risk for living donors. Because of privacy regulations and respect for the patient confidentiality, we cannot share specific information about the patient. Now, there was another source, CBS 46, was able to find a statement on their website for the United Network of Organ Sharing, which explains the procedures for organ donations. And it states that you will need to answer all the questions when asked. These include questions about your history of high-risk behaviors. The transplant staff will ask about your financial situation and talk about who can give you the physical and emotional support through the donation process. You will be asked to fully describe the reasons for wanting to donate and how it will affect your lifestyle, such as unemployment, and family relationships. Involving your loved ones in the educational part of the evaluation process can be helpful. They can learn about the donation, surgery, and recovery process and support you in your decision. Now, Camellia believes in 2018 it may be too late. Now, it's very unfortunate that, without a single player healthcare system in place for something like this, he had to actually set up a GoFundMe page in order to help pay for the operation. And it's very disappointing that this hospital decided to make a discretionary call to not proceed on with the operation because they don't like the fact that he got caught with a gun he wasn't supposed to have. But I mean, I hope this kind of awareness that has been brought up about this issue helps them or forces them to turn around on this issue, because it's not a very good situation. But I do encourage everybody that we need to get to the point of where we push for a single payer for all, because at the very end of it, I mean, he had to pay thousands of dollars in medical fees, and as of yesterday, I mean, I still haven't seen him achieve that goal as of yet. But I'm very hopeful for it.